There's a story in the Old Testament, 2 Kings, I think it is, where a farmer brings an offering to the prophet Elisha. Not a huge offering. It was the first of his harvest, some grain and about 20 loaves of barley bread. Now, barley was the grain of choice for people who were not wealthy because it was cheaper. That didn't matter to Elisha. He turned around and turned that meager offering into a feast for 100 people. Well, then in the New Testament, we have a story from the Gospel of John. Let me read that to you. From John chapter 6. After this, Jesus went to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, also called the Sea of Tiberias. A large crowd kept following Jesus because they saw the signs that he was doing for the sick. Jesus went up the mountain and sat down there with his disciples. Now the Passover, the festival of the Jews, was near. When he looked up and saw a large crowd coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, "Where are we to buy bread for all these people to eat?" He said this to test him, for he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 6 months' wages would not buy enough bread for each of them to get a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are they among so many people?" Jesus said, "Make the people sit down." Now there was a great deal of grass in the place, so they sat down, about 5,000 in all. When Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated, so also the fish, as much as they wanted. When they were satisfied, he told his disciples, "Gather up the fragments left over, so that nothing may be lost." So they gathered them up, and from the fragments of the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten, they filled 12 baskets. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they began to say, "This is indeed the prophet who has come into the world." That was quite a miracle, I think you'd agree. But John calls these miracles signs. Signs point to something, much like this sign says that we are near a church. It's not the sign that matters, it's what it points to. So in John, these signs point to the fact that Jesus is God involved in the world. As he put it in the beginning of his gospel, the Word made flesh, dwelling among us. What signs have you seen in your world of Jesus alive and active and involved in the world? So here's a story for you. A while back, Pastor Rebel Hurd from Church on the Street in Sioux Falls invited our congregation to participate in a ministry they have called Laundry with Love, where volunteers come in and they bring quarters and supplies so that people living in poverty and homelessness can do their laundry. And they also provide a meal for these folks. It's more, however, than just a meal and some clean laundry. For what comes with all this is a heaping dose of God's love shown through the compassion of the volunteers, and also in the gratitude of those that they serve. Well, it took me a while to get around to asking our women, but I finally did, and when I did, I was surprised to find how quickly they responded.
Woonsocket congregation had done it, and so we get the Woonsocket paper, and they had written up a little article. I think I said, just give me the list of instructions. Give me something to go by.
I guess Lois pretty much did the meal, but we discussed doing that, and we used 5 and Action Team cards to pay for the meal. We got it organized and picked it up the day of the event and took it along.
Peggy first had talked to Ryan about, she's our president, and she had talked to Ryan about possibilities of him helping us out putting this sandwich together.
So I prepared 100 meals. We did sub sandwiches, which are easy to do because we can do individually wrapped sub sandwiches. So it's turkey, roast beef, ham and then some cheese on it, and we also included some mayonnaise, and then also a cup of grapes. A lot of times the individuals that are receiving these meals, they do not purchase fresh items because they don't last as long. So my idea behind the grapes was, let's get them something fresh, something that they're not used to, something that's healthy for them. And I think that it would go a long way, and maybe they'll think about purchasing those, you know, with their funds that they have at a later time, and give them a little taste of that.
And we had chips already there that we could use. And then we furnished a cookie and water.
I feel actually awesome, you know. For me, when you're preparing a meal like this, it's not work. You're doing something for the community, you're doing something for someone in need. You know, in your heart, it just makes you feel good.
It seemed like almost like a social event, and I think the meal just added to it. They could eat while they were waiting for the laundry to get done.
It was interesting. They had a big counter there. They had clothes on the counter. They had bread. They had anything that those people that came in could pick up and take home with them if they needed it. They had brand new containers of new underwear for the men and the women and the kids, and if they needed them, they just came and asked. They said that's a big item that the people down there need.
There were generational families, grandmas, moms and dads, children, you know, people were playing, they were visiting.
Jean and I were taking care of the food when there was a little girl. She was a black girl, and her name was Victoria, and I could tell she was with her mom, and you know, there wasn't anything much to do. So I noticed she had some library books along, so I approached her and I said, why don't we read? You read to me, or I'll read to you, whatever you would like. And her birthday is the same day as our anniversary, August 4th. So I'm going to somehow send a card to her. But it was just fun because she was fun. Mm-hmm. She put on a show for us. She danced, and we told jokes, and everything she did, she said she was just making it up.
Mm-hmm. But she sang a song.
Oh yeah, she sang a song.
Yeah.
There was a pastor there. In fact, for a while there were two pastors. Mm-hmm. But they offered if they had prayer requests, mm-hmm. and then they had a place, if they wanted to write down a prayer request, they could just slip it in the box. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was approaching, you know, the spiritual part.
The little things make them happy and appreciative. Like one of the gentlemen that had gone over and got a haircut came back to the laundromat then, and he was so proud of his haircut and how he looked, and he got a shave, and just something so simple.
So Mom took the food down, came back, you know, told me how great it was, how awesome it was, how much everyone appreciates, especially the grapes. You know, the grapes were a big hit with this thing, and the fresh fruit. You know, that really was. So they came down, came back, and then a couple days later, Lois came in and said, I gave your number to somebody. Her name is Pastor Rebel. I said, okay, no, great. She may be calling you and to do some more subs for an outdoor church. So because maybe even a couple days later, Pastor Rebel had given me a call to do 200 subs at this time. So a little bit more, but they loved how we presented the meal. They loved the grapes. And they loved just everything that went into preparing that meal. So she wanted us to prepare that for their outdoor church service. Unfortunately, or fortunately, in this year, it was pouring, pouring down rain. So I didn't get as far as helping serve and seeing the people, I didn't get that experience as, you know, as much as I would have liked to, you know, kind of, and that's why they offered to, you know, meet me halfway. I said, no, I really want to bring it down. I would like to see what you're doing, see what I'm making the food for. And so we took it down. I did get to meet some of the individuals that were helping out. Some of the individuals that were going to be receiving the the meal that actually live in the park or unfortunately under one of the slides. And so we delivered the meal, and it was, even that was a great experience, you know, delivering to see actually what it's going to. The individuals that we served, we're not sitting there begging for the food. The individuals were sitting there begging for people to just be with them, I think. You know, hug them, be with them. One individual that I encountered, all he wanted was attention and somebody that really cared about him, you know, because they unfortunately don't get that, you know, when they're by themselves. And but they didn't, I know that they appreciate the food, but they also appreciate the people. I would absolutely do it again. I mean, it's a great experience because you have one person feeding, well, one or a couple of people feeding, in one instance, 100 people, you know, that went down and served it. In the second instance, you have probably 5 or 10 people serving 200 people, you know, and it's not a huge meal. It's not a 7-course meal, you know, it's a sandwich and grapes, which, you know, it kind of ties back to, you know, feeding the people, you know, with the Bible. They only get a little portion. You know, they don't get a big fancy meal. It's a little portion to get them by till their next meal. You know, and I guess that's how this instance or this relates to the Bible and the story of the Bible.
Small gifts multiplied. That's what happens when Jesus shows up in our world, which he does time and again when we simply offer what little we have to him to share. May you find signs of God's love in your world this week.